Alright, I figured since the Halloween season is coming to a close, I might as well throw one more Halloween-based review out the door for the YouTube trick-or-treaters. And this one is Halloween Ends. And it may surprise you, it may not surprise you, but I really, really fucking hate this movie. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. I didn't like anything about the whole idea behind remaking it again. Remaking, reimagining, revamping, retooling, whatever re-re bullshit they want to call this trilogy. It's garbage. It's been garbage the whole time, and it ends that way too. Even more so. But, as per usual, there are spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm not sure how you could be by this garbage. But again, go watch the movie and then come back, and we can commiserate the horrendousness of this horrible movie together. Now, we move on to the plot. Okay, so this movie opens up on Halloween night of 2019, where Corey, a 21-year-old fucking future engineer, is babysitting Jeremy, the unlikable hell child of a rich family, for no good fucking reason, really. So they get through the, establishing information. Corey has a bright future in engineering, and nobody likes this little bastard child, Jeremy. Parents hand off all the appropriate information, phone numbers and bedtimes, and don't let the bastard kid do this, and don't let him do that. He's been afraid of the dark ever since the craziness of the last movie. So as the kid's bedtime starts rolling around, they show you the shot of both Corey and Jeremy conveniently watching the 80s remake of The Thing, which is going to be the only bit of good movie you get to see out of this entire fucking film. Corey states maybe Jeremy shouldn't be watching this, and suddenly Jeremy turns tone and starts insulting Corey for no good fucking reason at all, like the little demon child he is. Tries to convince Corey that he is actually the one who's afraid of Michael Myers and not the little demon child. So Corey gets up to go make himself a snack. When he leaves the room, Jeremy decides he's gonna set up a nice scare for fucking Corey. Of course, this all goes wrong, and when Jeremy locks Corey in an upstairs spare room, Corey starts freaking out for some unknown fucking reason. Like, he's not claustrophobic or anything, and he knows it's the kid who's locked him in the room. But for some reason, he just starts freaking out, and he's kicking the door, kicking the door, kicking the door. Just at that very moment, conveniently, Demon Seed's fucking parents show up and walk through the door as fucking Corey kicks the upstairs door open, knocks Demon Seed over the fucking rail, and he falls 3 stories to a very crunchy yet satisfying splat. So this kid's fucking dead, right? So of course the parents come in, oh my god, my child's dead, and they blame Corey. It's Corey's fault. Corey murdered him, which obviously isn't the case. It was a complete freak accident, but it doesn't matter because Corey is now the town's bad guy. And we cut to the opening credits, which are really just a rip-off of the 1979 Halloween opening credits. I mean, they changed the text color, and they added a flourish to the pumpkin on the left side of the screen. But other than that, it's really just a rip-off with a little bit of a flourish, and that's it. And then after the opening credits are over, we get a recap of the 1979 Halloween, the sequel to Halloween called Halloween, and Halloween Kills. While we get a little bit of extra information about what Corey went through after the accident. Now, while this is going on, Laurie Strode is narrating over top of this recap montage, and during the montage, she states that, cut to Laurie Strode decorating a new house with spiderwebs and shit. You know what, this isn't Laurie Strode, this isn't the Laurie Strode that we know, so I'm just gonna call this one Granny Strode. So, as Granny Strode is decorating the outside of this house, the narration states that it's just a home. It's a happy home. It's not a fortress. It's not a booby trap for Michael. There aren't any weapons. It's just a happy home. Okay, now, we get a very fractured series of scenes here while the narration's still going on, where Granny Strode gives Allison, like, a necklace, and she's baking a pie, but at the same time, she's writing a book, which is what the narration is. It's the narration of the book she's writing. And so this part is really muddled. But, so, even though she's writing a book and narrating the book, she wants to make a fucking pie, though she burns the pie, which upsets her because she really wanted to make that pie for Allison, some Halloween tradition, which I'm completely unaware of. I was unaware that people made pies specifically for Halloween. But moving on. So Allison states that she has to go to work, so she leaves. Now, we cut to Corey, who's also on his way to work. Okay, so he's riding a bike through Haddonfield, and everybody's looking at him like he's the murderer who got off unjustly. Now, he gets to his job, which is at like a junkyard, or a dump, or something, and he's supposed to fix up what he can, I guess, so the owner can sell it. Well, he's late to work, and the owner bitches about this, but at the same time, the owner gives him a dirt bike, saying, hey, it'll get you around better than that busted-ass bike you're fucking riding, and you won't always be late to work. Corey, very appreciative, takes the bike. And I guess it's the end of the work day. Again, this is muddled, too, because Allison left for her job at the same time that Corey was on his way to his job, but now Corey's done working for the day, and Allison isn't even at work yet. While Allison's still on her way to work, for some reason, she gets pulled over by a cop. Okay, and as the cop walks up to the window, he says, I've pulled you over for being the most beautiful girl in Haddonfield. So there's obviously a history here. And apparently they dated at some point in time, and good sense must have kicked in because she booted him to the curb, and he's obviously having a hard fucking time dealing with that. He gives 2 half-ass reasons for pulling her over and then states it's because her muffler is about to fall off and she should get it fixed. And then she continues on her way to work. So Corey leaves work and goes to a fucking Quickie Mart. And as he gets to the Quickie Mart, there are 4 conveniently fucking unlikable bully pieces of shit who want him to buy them beer because they're seniors, but they just conveniently forgot their ID. And he says, no, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. To which the lead bully recognizes him immediately and decides he's going to start picking on him. Now, as he's mocking him and calling him names, Corey is getting obviously pissed off. So pissed off that he squeezes the glass bottle in his hand so hard that it explodes. Cuts his hand. He falls over. The bullies laugh at him. And suddenly, Granny Strode is also there to tell the bullies to shut up and leave. Now, the bullies also recognize her, so they start calling them both names. Freak Show and Psycho. Now, they go into the store, you know, slapping 5 and congratulating each other for being so fucking witty. While Granny Strode walks up to Corey and gives him some fortune cookie-like advice. She pulls out her fucking switchblade, which she conveniently has in her pocket, and asks Corey, are you gonna do it, or am I? Corey smiles. Then they flatten the tires of the bully and drive off together in Granny Strode's fucking truck. Allison finally gets to work. Okay, so she's at work doing normal, boring nurse things at the fucking Haddonfield Hospital, where Granny Strode conveniently drops Corey off. Because he's got that cut on his hand from squeezing the bottle so hard it exploded. So he goes there, he walks into the hospital, goes to get stitches, and for some fucking stupid reason, Allison falls in, I mean, I'm not even joking, it's like Disney-style love at first sight level bullshit. Like, the minute she looks at Corey, you can tell she just got moist as fuck. For no good fucking reason. And of course, he's the, you know, unsocialized nerd, so he bungles the thing. When the doctor says there's gonna be a little pinch, he fucking, like, kicks the entire fucking tray of stitches and tools and shit over. And for some reason, Allison tries to, like, take the blame. The doctor's a fucking dickhead. So he reacts like a dickhead and storms out of the fucking room. This leaves Allison to fix up Corey's hand all on her own. While she's fixing up Corey's hand, she makes reference to the fact that her car's making a noise. Now, without describing said noise, Corey just instantaneously knows what's wrong with the car. After they finish fixing up his hand, he goes out to Allison's car and confirms, yes, this is exactly what's wrong with it, but alas, I have not my magical junkyard tools, so I can't fix it. Now, while he's stating this, Allison is trying to tell a very bad joke. Corey doesn't understand that it's a joke, and so it falls flat. And the joke was, why can't a bicycle stand on its own? Because it's tired. Ba-da-cha. Now, Corey goes to leave, and Allison decides that she wants to ask him out, and he turns it down because he knows what's going to happen. They're going to go out together, people are going to recognize him, they're going to give him shit, and the night's going to be ruined, so he says no, and goes on his way. We cut back to Granny Strode's fucking house, where unnamed female Allison and Granny Strode are all there having girl talk/tarot card time, and Allison calls out Granny Strode for intentionally taking Corey to her ER in hopes that they would go to the Halloween party later that night together. Of course, it almost happened. It didn't, because Corey has good sense. But, so out of nowhere, fucking Granny Strode drops this dialogue where she says, you need to find somebody who's gonna let go, and you can rip off your shirt and show grief your tits and say, fucking bring it on. Which is just awkward and clunky as hell. But so then it cuts to Corey having dinner with his overbearing bitch of a mother, and I guess his stepfather, who happens to be the owner of the junkyard that he works at. Now, his overbearing bitch of a mother is bitching and complaining because he has a cut on his hand, and the stepfather isn't watching him close enough, even though he's like 22 now, and he's 25 now, and he's a grown-ass man. Allison texts him at the dinner table about the costume party. He says, through text, you know, I don't have a costume. She says, we can fix that. Overbearing bitch mother is complaining the whole time. How dare you receive text at the dinner table, and who is that? And he's not answering the question. So she tries to gain the upper hand by saying, boys who keep secrets don't get custard for dessert. Like, really? He's a grown-ass man. Do you think he gives a fuck about your custard, bitch? Must be the next day because Corey's back at work. And as he's at work, Allison shows up with her busted muffler for him to look at. He tries to show her how to ride the dirt bike, but he's kind of messing up what everything on the dirt bike does, and at this point, none other than the asshole bully shows up with his fucked up car with a flat tire. Now, his dad is also there, who's just as much of an asshole as the bully kid, because he's smacking him around for getting a flat tire and not knowing how to fix it. Stepdad, owner of the junkyard, tells Corey to come over and take a look at it, and as he says he's gonna go look at Allison's muffler, she says, I didn't come here for you to look at the muffler, I don't care about the muffler, I came here to see you. It cuts away and cuts to Granny Strode at the grocery store, who's just picking up random shit, and she runs into the cop from Halloween Kills, and they have a nice, awkward, flirtatious dialogue, and she leaves the grocery store feeling good about herself because somebody gives a fuck. That is quickly ruined by some entitled bitch who is outside the grocery store and decides to verbally berate fucking Granny Strode for ruining her sister's life. Conveniently forgetting that there was a fucking killer who was acting on his own and a town that went bloodthirsty trying to fucking kill him. She blames Granny Strode for antagonizing a retarded man, thus making him kill people, and that is what injured her sister, and it's all Granny Strode's fault. Now, we're on our way to the Halloween costume party with Allison and Corey, and Allison has given Corey a scarecrow mask. One of those little kid plastic scarecrow masks to hide his face so nobody will know it's him. And she's wearing a partial cat mask. So they should be fine in partying at the bar, and nobody should fuck with Corey. Now, this goes to plan fairly well. They're drinking, and they're dancing, and having a great old fucking time, and everything's going to plan. Nobody realizes that it's fucking Corey, and nobody's giving him shit. Until he gets comfortable enough to take off the mask and go to the bar to ask for a beer. And none other than Demon Seed's fucking mother is at the bar, and feels completely justified in giving him shit for finally having fun 4 years later. 4 years after this accident happened, to which she is still convinced it was fucking murder, she flips out on him and he leaves. Okay, so Allison chases him outside. They have some dialogue where Corey says, you know, you think it's similar, but it's not similar because everybody acts like you're a strong survivor and I'm just a murdering asshole, so I'm just gonna go now, and he just walks the fuck off. As he's walking down the road, again, none other than evil bully group from the fucking Quickie Mart shows up as Corey and them are dead. And as a matter of fact, we see he's not dead, he's still breathing. And then suddenly he's dragged off into the sewer. When he comes to, he's in the sewer. He gets up and starts wandering around, and suddenly, Michael Myers reaches out from a crack in the wall and grabs him by the throat, which really doesn't make any sense, because if Michael Myers drug him into the cave, then why is he hiding behind a wall to grab him? Like, why isn't he just there? But whatever. The weirder part happens now. While Michael Myers is grabbing Corey by the throat, they lock eyes, and there's some kind of transference or psychic link or some dumb shit. And it montages through all the suffering that Corey has dealt with over the last 4 years. And then Michael Myers just lets him go. And he fucking runs like a bat out of hell out of the sewer. When he gets out of the sewer, there's this asshole homeless guy there who demands that he wants Michael Myers masks, and he knows he's in that sewer, and he pulls out a switchblade. And Corey grabs the switchblade and stabs the fucking homeless guy with it. Kind of freaked out now, he just runs off. It's the wee hours of the morning after the Halloween costume party, and Corey runs fucking home to clean up and get his mind right. As he rushes in the door, his overbearing bitch mother, of course, does the overbearing bitch thing and starts demanding that he explain why he's been out all night and where he's been. He goes into the bathroom to try to clean up, and of course she's literally beating on the door, like kicking it and punching it, demanding to be let in, and he cleans up and bails out. He goes to Granny Strode and Allison's house, and for some reason now when Granny Strode sees him, she is standoffish and scared. There's something obviously wrong with him now. But Allison comes outside, and Corey asks if he can go for a walk with her, apologizes for everything the night before, and wants to explain why he was the way he was. And she accepts, and they go for a walk. Shortly into this walk, he just blurts out, "I killed somebody." Now, this doesn't give her pause or hesitation at all. She grabs his hand, and he leads her to the house that Demon Seed died at. Now, I guess the rich family that owned it just sold it because it is completely vacant now, and they sneak in through the window. He explains exactly what happened, and Allison is completely accepting of this, sympathetic even. She understands what he's going through. We cut to Corey's house, back to his overbearing bitch mother, who Granny Strode decided she just had to go see and talk to. Unfortunately for Granny Strode, overbearing bitch mother blames everything that happened to Corey on her. And again, it's because Granny Strode decided to torment a mentally challenged person, and that mentally challenged person went on a kill-crazy rampage, and that's all Granny Strode's fault, which is, again, just the most ridiculous fucking line of logic I've ever heard. Granny Strode is obviously regretting coming here, and so she leaves. Now, Corey and Allison are now at a fucking McDonald's, for lack of a better word. They're just at some fast food restaurant, and they're talking about how living in Haddonfield sucks, and it's really holding them back, and they need to get the fuck out of here and just let it burn to the ground. Conveniently, dickhead cop, who happens to be Allison's ex, is also there celebrating some birthday party with his other pig friends, and they're all inebriated. So he just blunders up to Allison and starts saying a bunch of stupid shit, even though he can blatantly see that she's with somebody, and I'm with somebody, leave me alone, and she's physically, like, shying away from him. So Corey's had enough. He stands up and gets right in this motherfucker's face and stares him down to the point at which it makes this fucking stupid cop uncomfortable and afraid, and he walks away. Of course, he's got to say, "See you later, Allison," as he walks away, like he's got some kind of leverage. Now, as dumb drunk cop sits down, he says something stupid like, "I'll get him." And of course, his cop buddies are like, "Do we gotta go beat somebody up?" So you know that this situation isn't over yet. Corey and Allison leave the fast food joint and go for a nice little jaunt on the dirt bike with emo music playing in the background. Eventually get back to Granny Strode's house, where Allison actually invites Corey in for the night. He politely declines and says, "Some other time." Now, as he pulls off, you see that he's being followed by somebody, and we obviously know who he's being followed by, and so does Corey. So Corey kind of leads him around Haddonfield for a little while, and then takes him to the underpass where the sewer is that Michael Myers was at. Now, as they get to the entrance of the sewer, Corey attacks Drunk Doug, the cop, in a very half-assed way to kind of further entice him into going into the actual sewer. Now, when he gets into the sewer, he kind of starts looking around with his fucking flashlight, and then spots Corey, and Corey's just kind of standing in the corner smiling, and out of nowhere, Michael Myers attacks Drunk Doug. Now, Apparently Michael Myers has just been hiding out in this fucking sewer for 4 fucking years. So he's very weak, and Drunk Doug actually fights him off and knocks him down, to which Corey runs over and picks him up and demands that Michael Myers show him how to do it. So he bludgeons Doug, holds him in like a full Nelson or bear hug so that Michael Myers can repeatedly fucking stab him to death. Now, I think this both gives Corey the confidence to do it again and somehow gives Michael Myers the strength to continue. And keep in mind, they're like psychically linked in some way now, which is, I guess, supposed to be some kind of callback to Halloween Part 5 and Halloween Part 6, but ew. Now, Corey runs away from the murder of Drunk Doug the whole way back to Granny Strode's house. Now, keep in mind, it's in the middle of the night. Now, Granny Strode's not there, but Allison is. And he runs into the house after beating on the front door, and he's obviously in a fucked up mental state, having just murdered an asshole cop. But for some reason, Allison takes this as vulnerability and just walks him upstairs, and they fuck. Now, as she's walking him upstairs, Granny Strode happens to pull up out front and sees her walking him up the stairs, and just stands outside and watches. And while she's standing outside and watching, you see Michael Myers at a tree maybe 50 feet away, and he's watching too. And suddenly it just cuts to the next morning. Now, he wakes up and sees the scarecrow mask on her dresser, so he decides to take it, and now we're at the hospital with Allison, where she was supposed to receive a promotion to head nurse, and didn't because the other nurse is obviously fucking the doctor who's in charge of promoting her. I mean, it's painfully obvious. And so Allison's pissed off. She's fucking irritated. Now, we're back at the bar that the Halloween party was at, and Granny Strode is talking to the bartender about how she saw Michael Myers in Corey's eyes that night, and it scared her. And the bartender decides that Granny Strode needs to talk to Daddy of the Demon Seed that died, who just happens to be playing pool in that very bar at that very moment. So he goes into a fucking monologue about how he knew Corey was not the type of person to murder somebody, especially not his son. He just knew that that's not who that guy was. And over the last 4 years, he had constantly tried to convince himself that that's not who that person was. And one day, which happened to be 2 days ago, right after he got thrown off a fucking bridge, he pulled up to Corey while he was walking injured down the side of the road and tried to talk to him. And when Corey looked into the car, they weren't the same eyes of the boy that he knew. And he knew that guy was gone. And that he did it. He murdered his demon seed. Completely ignoring all the other things that happened in the last 4 years, and he looked like he just got his ass beat. You don't think that he could have looked that way for any other fucking reason? But anyway, we are now at the dick-headed doctor's house with his dick-sucking nurse. And as they walk in, she's just ecstatic because she has now sucked her way into the rich life. And this doctor is living in a fucking mansion. Okay, like there's an indoor fucking pool, a courtyard, the whole place is like made of glass. But so he picks up a bottle of fucking expensive champagne and says, why don't you go freshen up and take a shower and just go into the room down there on the left, and she does. And she goes into the room, there's a congratulatory present. It says, congratulations on the promotion, which obviously means that she just fucked her way into a promotion and fucked Allison over. And she opens it up and there's a robe in there. She's just ecstatic because she has now fucked her way into the good life. As she goes to turn on the shower, she hears a clatter, which she goes to investigate. So as she's investigating, she gets back to where dick-headed doctor was at, and the champagne he was opening is now broken on the ground. So she goes out into like this little courtyard area and is looking around and can't see anything, but we, the audience, can see past her, and there's like flailing shadows behind her. And she reaches over and turns on the light and sees that Corey, wearing the scarecrow mask, is now stabbing the dick-headed doctor to death with the corkscrew that he was opening the wine with. She freaks the fuck out and tries to run back inside, and she makes it inside and locks the door. Now Corey's stuck on the outside just banging on it like an asshole, right? As she goes in to get on the phone and call the cops, Michael Myers is fucking there, coming in from the other side. And he just yokes up dick-sucking nurse by her throat with one arm and carries her the whole way across the room, plants her back against the wall, takes a kitchen knife, and just drives it through her chest into the wall. And she's just hanging there. And it is a complete ripoff of the original 1979 Halloween kill that he did in that movie, where he pinned dude against the wall and then stared at him, confused with his head cocked like a little puppy dog. Complete ripoff of that scene. Now, Corey and Allison go for another nighttime ride on his dirt bike, and they end up at the Haddonfield radio station. Now, periodically through this movie, we've had interrupts by this asshole radio DJ, and it's just tonally inconsistent. It throws the whole tone of the fucking movie off. But either way, so we're at that radio station, and Corey and Allison are on top of it, and they're talking about getting the fuck out of Haddonfield, because being here isn't doing anything but holding them both back. And Allison's afraid, so Corey tries to make a gesture to show her that there's nothing to be afraid of, and he goes over to the edge of the roof of this radio station and jumps off of it. And she flips out and runs over and sees that there was a little ledge that he landed on. So then he climbs off of that and drops down. And I guess he kind of twists his ankle a little bit and falls down. So she runs down and meets him down there, and as they get down there, the asshole DJ comes out and decides that he's gonna flex nuts on them, because he knows exactly who they are, that he's the child murderer, and she's the spawn of Michael Myers, and he decides that he just has to act all swole and aggressive and tells them he needs to get the fuck off my private property before I fuck both y'all up. Which, again, is unnecessary. Every goddamn character in this movie is just a fucking entitled, arrogant asshole. Now, it's the next morning, and we see Corey sleeping on the floor of the abandoned house of the dead demon seed. As he wakes up, Granny Strode is already there, and she states that she's not going to allow Corey to leave Haddonfield with Allison, and she knows what he's up to, she knows what's going on with him, and she compares the evil growing inside of him to an infection, and she makes this comparison for the audience because there's a cut on his hand which is now growing infected. Corey states that if he can't have Allison, nobody can. But either way, while he's stating this, Granny Strode sneaks out of the house. Now, we're at the hospital with Allison, who suddenly gets a call from Corey, a very cryptic, broken phone call that says, "Your grandmother's trying to kill me, but I need you to meet me at this location at 9 o'clock tonight." So Corey then goes to the sewer where Michael Myers is at, and Michael Myers is apparently so weak that Corey manhandles him. They get into like a little physical altercation with like pushes and shoves, and Corey knocks him down and takes his mask. As he's leaving the sewer, we see the maskless Michael Myers sit up like Michael Myers fucking does. As he's leaving the sewer on his dirt bike, the 4 bullies see that he scratched Psycho into the hood of their shitty car, so they just gotta go get revenge now. Since the last thing that happened was them throwing him off a bridge. But so then we're back at Granny Strode's house, and Allison goes in very angry and decides that she's gonna leave with Corey and fuck Granny Strode, and even at this point, Allison turns on Granny Strode and starts talking about, you took advantage of a mentally handicapped dude, and that caused him to murder people, and I'm tired of being your fucking reason for all this shit, and go fuck yourself, I'm leaving. So she's fucking mortified, and Allison leaves, okay? Now, it's sundown, and now the fucking quad bullies have shown up at the junkyard. Now, we have bad haircut bully, fucking little girl bully, little thick girl bully, and fucking head bully. Now, as they all pull into the fucking junkyard, they get the brilliant idea that, hey, we're going to tie his shitty dirt bike to the back of our shitty car, and we're going to drive it around Haddonfield and just ruin it. So head bully tells bad haircut bully to get in the fucking car, start it, and let's go. Nothing happens. So he says it 2 or 3 more times, and of course we know what's up. So he gets over to bad haircut bully, and there's a fucking crowbar sticking through bad haircut bully's eye. So they freak the fuck out. At this point, the tow truck turns on, and fucking Corey's in it wearing Michael Myers' fucking mask. So he fucking floors it, and little girl bully and little thick girl bully fucking try to ball out of the fucking junkyard and jump over the fence. Well, little girl bully makes it over the fence, but little thick girl bully only makes it about halfway over. So the tow truck fucking slams the fence and drops her ass to the ground, pins her under the truck, under a chain link barbed wire fence, so she's just stuck and fucked. Little girl bully goes over to try to help her, and Corey gets out of the tow truck and bashes her fucking head in with a pipe wrench. At this point, lead bully is freaking the fuck out, and we cut to the inside of the junkyard office, where stepdad is just inexplicably watching fucking Death Warrant with Jean-Claude Van Damme, I guess because he doesn't want to go deal with, you know, overbearing bitch mother. And he hears the commotion outside. He hears the commotion outside, takes his headphones off, and looks out the window where lead bully's beating on the window. So he brings him inside, hands him a fucking shotgun, grabs his handgun, and goes outside to try to figure out what's going on. Now he goes up to the tow truck and sees a little thick girl pinned underneath of it and tries to help her. At this moment, stupid lead bully with the fucking shotgun sees Michael Myers on the far side of where the tow truck is. So he fucking takes aim and tries to shoot. And of course, stepdad stands up and gets shot in the face by lead bully. So he runs over to try to help little thick girl and says, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're not dead," to where little thick girl looks up under the chain link fence and says, "But you are," and Corey fucking kills him. And then immediately curb stomps her face into mush and then drives over top of her with the tow truck on his way out to do better things. Corey Myers rushes off to his overbearing bitch mother's house where he quickly dispatches her and then goes to the fucking DJ station and dispatches the secretary and the asshole fucking DJ by bashing his face into a turntable and cutting his fucking tongue out. At this point, we get to Allison, who's gotten to the fast food restaurant that she was supposed to meet Corey at, but he's not there, so she waits, sends a couple of text messages, and during this time, Granny Strode is trying to call Allison and apologize, at which Allison is just not picking up the phone. So now we're back at Granny Strode's fucking house, and she's just sad and depressed. So she goes to a safe and pulls a fucking little snub-nosed 32 out of it, and sits down and acts as though she's gonna fucking kill herself. So she pours a drink, takes off her necklace, sets everything up all nice, and puts the gun to her head and walks around a little bit, and we hear the gun go off and a splatter. And it's so painfully obvious it's not her brain or her, you know, gray matter. It's fucking pumpkin seeds. Like anybody with eyes could tell that. So then Corey pushes the door open, and she's standing there waiting for him like, "Did you really think I was going to kill myself?" and shoots him twice. He falls over the railing, just like Demon Seed did, and ends up down in the foyer. She goes down there with the gun, puts a couple of holes in the wall, like she's setting this up to make it look like Corey was trying to kill her, even though he was. I guess to convince Allison that he's a piece of shit. Now, during this time, Allison has tried to text Corey a couple of times to figure out where the fuck he's at, so she said fuck it, and she's gonna go back to Granny Strode's house. So Corey and Granny Strode have had this nice little discussion, like, did you really think that this was how this was gonna work out? And Corey looks at Granny Strode and hears the muffler of Allison pull up outside and says, if I can't have Allison, and then stabs himself square in the throat with the kitchen knife that was in his hand. And he falls down. At this point, Granny Strode tries to pull the knife out of his throat just as Allison's walking inside, so it literally looks like fucking Granny Strode killed her boyfriend to keep them from leaving. And Allison flips the fuck out. I can't believe you, go fuck yourself, gets in her car and fucking leaves. Okay, now at this point in time, Michael Myers, the maskless Myers, is now in the house with Granny Strode. And they start to get into a fight. Okay, and it's really not a great fight. It's really half-assed with a bunch of callbacks. And then we cut back to Allison, who made it to a specific point, and suddenly changes her mind because she sees a radio tower on fire, and there's a small line of dialogue where Corey said that he always looked at that radio tower with hope, and now, for some reason, because it's on fire, she just knows that the whole thing was a setup, and she turns around and goes back. And we get back into Granny fucking Strode's house where, you know, maskless Myers and Granny Strode are duking it out. And they're in the kitchen now. She gets him on this big, like, island cutting board in the middle of the kitchen, pins one hand down with a knife, pins one leg down with a fucking refrigerator that she knocked over, pins another hand down with another fucking knife, manages to stab him through the fucking heart, he's still not dead, cuts his fucking throat open, he's still not dead, so he rips his hand off of the fucking knife, and, like, his fucking hand is split in half, and he's choking her, and at this point, Granny Strode is like, fine, go ahead and do it, like she's willing to die, and then Allison comes running back in, and says, I'm not gonna let you do it, grabs Michael fucking maskless Myers' arm, breaks it, and then they cut his wrist, like that should do the trick after you've already stabbed him through the heart and cut his throat open. So now that they've cut his wrist open, he's completely bled out. Cops show up and see that there's maskless Myers, he's actually dead, he's actually real. And so for some reason they get this brilliant idea to strap him to the top of fucking Allison's car and have a town-wide fucking funeral procession for him. Like all of a sudden the town just buys it. Michael Myers was the bad guy all along, and Laurie Strode and Allison were victims, and literally the entire town all get in their cars and drive, following the maskless Myers procession with the fucking cops and the sheriff, and they're all driving. They go to the fucking junkyard and chuck Michael Myers' body into the fucking car compactor and rip him to shreds. And now it's the next morning, and there's fucking Allison at the fast food joint and sees the stories about the town and the procession on the TV, and she makes her way out of town, and then we're back at Granny Strode's house, who hears a knock at the door and sees the flirtatious cop that she saw at the grocery store earlier and decides this is the time that we should try to move on, and she sits down and has a nice little chat with him outside of her house, and that's the end of the fucking movie. Oh, the issues I have with fucking this one. Let's just dive headfirst into this fucking pumpkin's anus and get this over with. Okay, so first up is the way this movie is put together and edited and shot. It's just trying to push you along. It's always jump cut and flash to and the next thing. Try to keep going. Don't ever chill and process what's going on. Just keep going, that way you don't think about what just happened, and we're already on to the next thing. All the choices were done this way. The fucking editing, the way the story's told, even the musical choice, everything is just keep pushing them along. That way they don't focus on how contrived and ridiculous all the shit that they're seeing is. It comes off as muddled and fractured when you do that, because there's just too much coming through. It's like the filmmakers had ADD and thought that anybody who would watch this must also have ADD, so they're not going to be able to pay attention for more than 2 minutes. Just throw as much shit out there as they can, but don't throw any kills out there until well after the halfway mark, except for the kid at the beginning, which you don't actually get to see, and I'm sure a lot of people will be like, why'd you want to see that? Well, I only heard it, and even hearing it made me laugh my balls off. Yes, I'm an asshole, but I own that shit. I thought that kid hitting the fucking ground was fucking hilarious. I laughed my ass off. Now, besides the ridiculously fast-paced, push-em-along fucking storytelling style, the musical choices in this movie seem like they were trying to go for some, like, modern Guardians of the Galaxy style soundscape, sound design, soundtrack, and it comes off as, again, irritating and very attention deficit. And it's tonally off. Like, all the musical choices they chose just don't fit the movie, let alone the scenes that they're attached to. The very beginning of this movie sounds like you're watching a fucking summer comedy. It doesn't sound like you're watching a fucking horror movie. And they do that sporadically through the entire movie with that asshole irritating DJ interlude from the Haddonfield radio station. The DJ's a fucking dickhead, and the music that he plays is just bad. Especially for the movie. I mean, the music itself is bad, but for the tone of the movie and what the movie is, the music does not fit. Bad choice. Number 2, bad choice. Now, at least Granny Strode, Allison, and Mental Myers, Corey, are not completely fucking unlikable characters. And I think the main reason for that is that everybody else in this movie is completely fucking unlikable. They are fucking entitled, arrogant assholes to the nth fucking degree. Okay, it can only be worse if they literally physically assaulted each of these characters every time they interacted them, because they verbally berate them every chance they get. everything is fucking Granny Strode's fault. And that makes no sense either, given what we know from the last movie, and Halloween 2, which is also Halloween, and the original 1979 Halloween, which this stupid trilogy jumps off of. How could anybody in this town think that Michael Myers was just a mentally challenged victim, and he was just pushed too far by Granny Strode, and that caused all the badness? And if any of these fucking retards actually bothered to remember, it was Tommy Duncan who started all this insanity. Not Granny Strode, Tommy Duncan. How could anybody think that? Did they conveniently forgot the events of the very first film? This kid killed his whole fucking family when he was 6. So he's already a murderer, like straight up murderer from day one. From day fucking one. That's why he's in the asylum. Because he's a mass murderer. His whole damn family just murdered him. But we conveniently forget about that and just, oh, he was in an asylum, and fucking Granny Strode just antagonized him and pushed him to the point he went on a murderous rampage again. I don't give a fuck what she did. In your mind, he went on a murderous rampage and killed a whole bunch of fucking people. Where's the accountability for that? Like, you just hand it off. It's not his fault. He was a mentally challenged victim. No, fuck you! Fuck you and that line of thought. That line of logic is absolutely broken, fractured, makes no sense, and I don't give a fuck how you convinced yourself of it. But you shoehorned it into this script with the force of a fucking high-powered enema. It doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense, and it's irritating every time they bring it up, which is way too goddamn frequently. Even Allison jumps on the bandwagon by the end of the movie. Like, really, bitch? You were there! You were there! You saw what these people did! How in the fuck? Really, this whole movie gets summed up for me with one scene. And that scene is when they're at the bar, Mental Myers and fucking Allison. When they're at the bar dancing and drinking and having a good old time, all of a sudden it cuts to this fucking old dude, and he flashes Mental Myers. Okay, some hobo flasher. And he flashes him, and then it just cuts away. Now, the guy who plays that role is Nick Castle. That's the guy who played the Shape in the original 1979 Halloween. He was the original Michael Myers. And in this movie, he's been relegated to a hobo flasher. That fucking says everything to me. You took the original Michael Myers, turned him into a hobo flasher, and gave us this burnt-faced mutant. Fucking great choice. Great choice. Way to add that rotten cherry on the fucking butt pie that you just threw to us. Assholes. This movie is god-awful in every conceivable fucking way. There's so many just coincidences and contrivances. The fact that every single fucking character who pushes the plot forward just happens to be in the exact spot they need to be every single time to push things forward. Demon Seed's mother, Demon Seed's fucking father, drunk cop Doug. They're all just there and waiting to push the shit forward. And for all you smart-ass fucking people, well, if they didn't do that, then there would be no movie. No, that's bullshit. That is fucking lazy writing and utter bullshit. Have the person actually have to go figure something out. Find said object or find said person at another location to resolve the fucking conflict. To have it right there when they figure out that they need it is fucking convenient. It's beyond convenient, and it's beyond lucky. It's fucking set up. It's lazy, and it's fucking stupid, and I can't deal with that kind of shit. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any fucking sense. None. At all. You know, at the beginning when Mental Myers cuts his fucking hand, Granny Strode just happens to be there after that weird time warp. That's the other thing. This story is in some kind of weird non-linear time warp where two people can leave a point going to a destination, and one dude does a whole day's worth of work and the other person still hasn't even gotten to where they're going yet. This happens a bunch of times through the fucking story, too. It just doesn't make sense. They never explain, like, shit, really. You know? How in the fuck has Michael Myers lived in a sewer for 4 years after the events of the last film? It's not like he can go to the fucking hospital and get fucking fixed up. So he's just been sitting in a sewer for 4 years all fucked up and full of holes. Just chilling down there for 4 fucking years? Waiting? No, whatever, fuck that. Like, dude, give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of a good fucking movie. Which I guess we got because you see the thing early on. Like I said, that's the only bit of good movie you're gonna see in this motherfucker. Other than that kid hitting the floor. I'm sorry, it was fucking hilarious. Other than that, this finale to an anthology or fucking addition trilogy, sequel trilogy, whatever, to this pile of fucking pumpkin shit. This is a fucking travesty of fucking film. It really is. Ew. Fucking ew. No bueno. Wouldn't buy it for 50 cents. It's fucking horrible. Yeah, that. And that is all. Happy Halloween.